In this video, I'm going to show you how to build a solution to remotely monitor industrial assets using the Ignition platform, Groov Epic controller, MQTT Sparkplug, and HiveMQ Cloud as the centralized MQTT broker. And for demonstration, I'm going to use the Ignition Edge platform built into this Groov Epic controller to connect to the control program, pull the tags for this temperature sensor and LEDs, and publish them to the HiveMQ Cloud MQTT broker as MQTT Sparkplug messages. And then on my PC, I'm running an Ignition gateway, which will also subscribe to the same HiveMQ Cloud broker and automatically pull the tags for visualization. Now, if you've worked on a factory floor, you've seen that the machinery there is incredibly diverse. Production equipment originates from many different vendors and systems that aren't engineered to communicate with each other. So, to simplify remote connectivity and data collection, you'd need to use a hub that acts as a single concentrator to connect to this equipment and publish the data using a plug-and-play IIoT protocol such as MQTT Sparkplug. In our case, we're going to use Ignition Edge, which has built-in driver support for many industry protocols and PLCs to connect to the control program running on the Opto 22 Groov Epic controller and pull temperature and LED tags for publishing as MQTT Sparkplug messages. The Ignition gateway comes pre-installed locally on the Groov Epic, but it can be installed even on a PC. So, to be able to transmit our tags as MQTT Sparkplug messages, we're going to use an Ignition Edge module called MQTT Transmission to build the required Sparkplug topic namespace and publish the tags to a centralized MQTT broker. Now, HiveMQ Cloud acts as the centralized broker that is capable of receiving MQTT Sparkplug messages and forwarding them to a visualization platform. Our visualization platform is an Ignition gateway running on my PC. It uses two modules to achieve tag visualization. First, an MQTT engine module for automatically pulling tags that we are publishing to the HiveMQ Cloud broker, and then the perspective module for visualizing these tags once they are in our Ignition system. Okay, let us begin by getting our HiveMQ Cloud MQTT broker up and running. And to do that, I'll go to the HiveMQ website and then select Cloud on the menu, and then proceed by clicking on HiveMQ Cloud in order to access my HiveMQ Cloud portal. And then once you are on the HiveMQ Cloud page, you can scroll down. So here you can see that there is a free version that allows you to connect up to 100 MQTT clients. So I'll select that one by clicking on Sign Up Now. Now when I do that, I'm taken to the HiveMQ Cloud portal homepage. Now I've already created an account. Now all I need to do is to log in. If you are signing up for the first time, you need to follow a few simple steps, which include verifying your email. So I'll go ahead and log in. Now, the initial sign-up process includes setting up access credentials for your HiveMQ Cloud MQTT broker, which can be updated anytime. Okay, so now I'm logged into my HiveMQ Cloud portal, and as you can see, I already have a cluster automatically provisioned for me, which means I can start publishing MQTT Sparkplug messages to this broker. But first, I'll need to copy my MQTT broker details to use on my Ignition platform. So I can click on Manage Cluster here, and then copy my MQTT broker hostname or URL address. And here you also notice that communication with this broker is secured using TLS encryption at port 8883. Now, to update my MQTT client access credentials, I'll click on Access Management, and then here I can delete the existing username and password and assign new access credentials. Okay, so that's all we need to do for our MQTT broker setup on HiveMQ Cloud portal. Now the next step is to start collecting our tags and publishing them as MQTT Sparkplug messages to this broker. So first of all, I'll log into my Groov Epic Controller Management Center using a web browser. And then to go to the gateway of my Ignition Edge instance running on this Epic controller, I'll select Ignition on the main menu here. And then here, I'll make sure that my Ignition Edge instance is enabled. Then I'll proceed by clicking on Open Ignition Edge. So I'm signed in to my Ignition Edge platform. So I'll proceed by going into the configuration page. Now here inside Ignition Edge, there are a number of PLC drivers that allow you to connect to different PLCs and automatically pull all the tags out for you. So that's the feature that I'm using to connect to my Groov Epic control program to pull out the tags that I want to publish to my HiveMQ Cloud MQTT broker as Sparkplug messages. So to create PLC connections, you select Devices here under OPC UA Server. Now you can see here that I'm already connected to the control program of my Groov Epic controller. And if I click on Edit, you can see here that I'm using an Opto 22 driver to connect to the local control program by using a loopback IP address. Now, if I wanted to connect to another PLC device, I would click on Create New Device. And then here, you can see a list of all the devices that I could connect to. Okay, now if I go to OPC Quick Client here, expand Ignition OPC UA Server, expand on Devices, and then expand PEC Control, you can see the tags that I'm currently pulling out of my Groov Epic control program. And among those is my panel temperature and the LED blue and red buttons. Okay, so now let's go ahead and set these tags up for transmission to my HiveMQ Cloud MQTT broker as Sparkplug messages. Now, to publish data to an MQTT broker, the Ignition platform uses a module from SeriesLink called MQTT Transmission. And to configure it, I'll go to MQTT Transmission here and click on Settings. Now, under the General Settings tab here, you can see that my MQTT Transmission module is enabled. And then if I go to the Servers tab, this is where I need to put my HiveMQ Cloud MQTT broker details. So I can go ahead and delete this one. And then I'll proceed by clicking on Create New MQTT Server. First of all, I'll give my MQTT server a name. I'll call it HiveMQ Cloud Broker. And then here under URL is where I need to put my HiveMQ Cloud Broker URL or host name. So I'll copy and paste it here. And then I'll make sure that I put an SSL at the beginning of my URL. And then also put the port number as 8883 for secure communication. And then next, I'll put my HiveMQ Cloud Broker credentials. And then I'll click on Create New MQTT Server. Okay, now let's go ahead and use Ignition Designer to build the folder structure that is required for creating a Sparkplug topic namespace for publishing to the HiveMQ Cloud MQTT broker. So I'll go ahead and click on Launch Designer here. Continue. Now with MQTT Sparkplug, all MQTT clients are required to use this structure for its message topics. And in our case here, the namespace and message type elements are taken care for us by the Ignition MQTT transmitter. What we need to do is to create a folder structure to represent our group ID, edge node ID, and device ID. So to do that, we're going to expand all providers here in our tag browser, expand edge, and then finally expand into our edge nodes folder. So as you can see, our edge nodes folder is currently empty. So this is where we'll add our Sparkplug folder structure. So to do that, I'll right click the edge nodes folder, select new folder. I'll call this HiveMQ demo, which is my group ID. And then inside the HiveMQ demo folder, I'll create a new folder. I'll call it my groov epic, which is my edge node ID. And then inside my edge node ID folder, I'll create a device ID folder, and I'll call it groov epic IO. Okay, now that we've got our MQTT Sparkplug folder structure, we can now start populating it with our control program tags that we want to publish to the HiveMQ Cloud MQTT broker. So to do that, I'll click on OPC browser here, expand Ignition OPC UA server, expand devices, go into pack control, and then here I can select the tags that I want to publish via MQTT Sparkplug. So I'll select LED blue and red, and then I'll also select the panel temperature. And then once I've done that, I'll drag this and drop them into my device ID folder. Okay, as you can see there, our panel temperature is currently at 58 degrees Fahrenheit. So now that we've got our control program tags inside our MQTT Sparkplug folder structure, we can now start publishing these to our HiveMQ Cloud MQTT broker. And to do that, we go to the MQTT Transmission folder here and expand it. And then we go to Transmission Control, and then we check this refresh checkbox. And then we'll get a prompt to confirm. Okay, so now what that means is that we are now publishing our selected control program tags as MQTT Sparkplug messages to our HiveMQ Cloud broker. To confirm, I will pull up my MQTT.fx client. So this is already connected to my HiveMQ Cloud MQTT broker. So I'll subscribe to the topic namespace based on our folder structure. So I'll go ahead and click on subscribe. So as soon as I do that, you can see we're now starting to receive our value of temperature as it changes. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and access the Ignition gateway running on my PC to start subscribing to receive these MQTT Sparkplug messages that are being published from the Ignition Edge gateway running on my groov epic controller. So I'll go to my browser, and then I'll open a new tab, and then I'll go to localhost at port 8088. Now here there's only one setting that I need to do. I'm going to configure an MQTT module from SiriusLink called MQTT Engine by simply putting my HiveMQ Cloud MQTT broker details, and the MQTT engine will automatically go into the broker and pull all the tags in their respective folder structures. Now, contrary to the MQTT Transmission module, which only publishes and subscribes to tags that it has been configured with, MQTT engine pulls all the tags from the entire infrastructure in their correct folder structure. Okay, so to go to my MQTT engine, I'll click on config here. And then I'll scroll down and select settings under MQTT engine. So here you can see that my MQTT engine is already enabled. So I'll go to the Servers tab. Now this is where I need to put my HiveMQ Cloud MQTT broker details. So I'll go ahead and create a new MQTT server. I'll call this HiveMQ Cloud Broker. And then I'll copy my broker URL address from my HiveMQ Cloud portal and paste it here under URL. And then I'll make sure to put my SSL and the port number 8883. And then next, I'll put my HiveMQ Cloud Broker access credentials. Okay, when that is done, I'll go ahead and click on Create New MQTT Server. Okay, as you can see now, we're connected to my HiveMQ Cloud MQTT Broker. So what that means is that we're now pulling all the Sparkplug messages that are being published to this broker. So I'll go ahead and launch the designer application. I'll select localhost at port 8088. And then I'll log in. And then here I'll select my sample quick start project. And then here under my tech browser, I'll select MQTT engine, expand edge nodes, and then there you can see my HiveMQ demo folder appearing. And if I expand that, you see I've got my groov epic, and inside my groov epic I've got the groov epic IO, and then here we've got the value of our temperature. As you can see, the value is being updated in real time. Now notice here that I didn't have to type in the name of the tags to access them. They are being pushed from the groov epic as a single source of truth. Now to visualize this information, I'll create a new view here. I'll call it sample. And then I'll drag my temperature tag onto the canvas. And then select a thermometer control for visualization. And then there you can see the temperature visualization. Now if I warm up the sensor, you can see the value rise instantly. Okay, so we have successfully developed a plug and play solution for remotely monitoring plant flow tags using the Ignition platform, groov epic controller, MQTT Sparkplug, and HiveMQ Cloud MQTT Broker. I hope you enjoyed this video about real-world MQTT for Industry 4.0. Please check out the HiveMQ YouTube channel for more videos like this.